Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Tom LaHue, and we talk about all kinds of things related to the Enneagram here. And in the description below is a link to my website, tomlahue.com, where you can book coaching appointments if you're trying to figure out your type, your Enneagram type, or how to be a more balanced, healthy person, or how to have better relationships. Feel free to reach out to me. Also, there's a link on the website to our certificate programs. If you're interested in learning about Enneagram coaching or relationship coaching, check out those certificate programs. We got a couple of start dates coming up, and I'd love for you to jump in there and be in that Zoom group. We do that over Zoom. Great stuff. Also, thanks to my patrons. I really appreciate your continued support for this channel. All right, so what are we talking about today? Well, I'm not really sure. All week I've been thinking, all right, what are we talking about? It's going to be Friday, and I like to try to put out a video every Friday. And a lot of things were going through my mind. I reached over to my bookshelf over here of all my Enneagram books and started flipping through and was looking at some ideas and some topics and was thinking about some things. And I even thought about talking about why I believe that God exists. I thought that's a pretty deep subject, and but I wasn't really landing on anything until this morning. I stopped at a gas station to get a sandwich. That usually never is going to go well, right? Stop at a gas station to get a sandwich. Anyway, I was standing in line, and it's a very busy gas station down here in Florida, and they have great sandwiches, and got gas. I went in, got a coffee, got a sandwich, and was standing in line. Now, the line was pretty long. I mean, there was at least 10 people in the line, and there were 2 registers open. Sometimes when multiple registers are open, people seem to queue up at both registers, and so you'll have a line of 5 people at one and a line of 5 people at the other. Sometimes, for whatever reasons, both registers are open and everybody queues up in a single line and just goes to the next available cashier. And so whenever the cashier is done checking out a person, they'll say, I can take whoever's next. And that's a very efficient way of lining up. I don't know which one's better, but it just seems like sometimes it goes one way and sometimes it goes another. Well, this is one of those days when everybody was queued up in a single line, and we were all just standing there, most of us, holding our sandwiches or our drinks or coffee or whatever. Everybody was queued up, and I got up to the very front of the line, and there's a person in checkout 1, and there's a person in checkout 2. And I'm just waiting to be next, waiting to see which one is going to be the cashier that says I can help the next person. Well, a third cashier went to a third register, and she said, I can help whoever is next. So now there's 3 cashiers. The 1 and 2 are still full with people checking out. A third one opens, and she says, I can help whoever's next. I'm next. So I start to move over to that third register, and I notice a guy from the very back of the line. So there's maybe 7 or 8 people between him and I. I'm at the front of the line. He's at the back of the line. He darts as fast as he can from the back of the line around everybody and gets in that third register. So he's next. And, I kind of wanted I kind of felt the Chris Tucker moment, man, what are you talking about? I'm next. Get out of the line. I was wanting to go Medea. I have a wing 8. It's not a very strong wing. I'm working on it. But I do have that wing 8. I was thinking like Medea, man, what are you doing? Get in the back of the line. You're not next. I'm next. And even if I wasn't next, there's a whole lot of next behind me before you. You're not next. Everybody in that line had to be thinking the same thing. Like, how is this guy next? I have a very strong line to 1. So although I'm a 7 and I want to be lighthearted and easygoing and fun-loving and blah, 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 I do have a pretty strong line to 1 that is like, this is not right. This is not the responsible thing to do, to jump in front of everybody else. Who taught this guy? This is a guy my age or older. And I have a very strong 6 wing. People are going to be upset. People are going to be mad. What if somebody were to yell? What if somebody were to bark at you? What if somebody were to, hey, sir, you're not next in line? Or what if the cashier said that? Cashier wasn't really paying attention. They're doing their job. They don't care who's next. They just want to check people out. Nobody said anything. Nobody said, hey, I'm next, or whoa, dude, you're cutting in front of the line, or nobody said anything. Everybody ignored it. Life went on. He checked out really quickly and walked out the door to his hot rod, to his sports car. And it wasn't just a second until the guy in front of me in Register 1 was done, and the lady said, who's next? Or I can help, who's next? And I went right in and checked out. And a lot of thoughts went through my mind in this moment, First, I thought the Medea stuff, like the 8 stuff, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I thought the 1 stuff, like, this is not right. This is not the way you behave. This is not. But, as I thought about that, I thought, poor guy. Poor guy. I mean, can you imagine being in such a hurry to get your bag of donuts and your coffee that you will cut in front of 8 or 10 people? I mean, in the grand scheme of things, in the big picture, with all the problems in the world, with all the diseases, the wars, the famines, the oppression, the abuse, with all of the catastrophes in this world, in the grand scheme of things, it's no big deal. I mean, it's an inconvenience for the rest of us that were in line. It's a breach of protocol. It's not good manners. It's not good etiquette. But it doesn't really hurt anybody. It might irritate some people, but it doesn't really hurt anybody. But it certainly doesn't help anybody either. And in the big scheme of things, I mean, it's not a big deal. The problem, though, seems to be like, that could easily become a habit if it's not already. It could easily become a character, a person's character, to just think, only the good die young. I've got to get to the front of I don't even know if I used that phrase right. Only the good die young. It's what popped in my head. But I got to get to the front of the line. I don't have time to stand around and wait for this nonsense. My time is valuable. And you could justify yourself. And the thing is I'm sure if I were to look back and examine my behavior, I'm sure I've done the same thing in one way or another, where I thought about myself first and thought about the needs of others last. He doesn't know us. What do we matter to him? Well, our time is not as important as his time is. So, he's going to get to the front of the line, and he's going to get checked out in front of everybody, and he's going to get to his car where, guess what? He's going to have to wait just like everybody else, because you're going to get in your car, you're going to drive to the next turn, there's going to be a stoplight where you're going to wait. So you got to the stoplight sooner than everybody else did. Or you're going to get to work, and the guy that opens the building isn't going to be there yet, and so you're going to have to wait in your car for Ned to show up to open the building. Or you're going to get to your desk and wait for your computer to turn on. There's a sense in which when we don't wait one place, we're just going to wait somewhere else. Because wherever we go, there we are. You can't get away from yourself. And you might not have to wait here, but you're still going to be out there, waiting in your car, waiting at the office door, waiting at your desk, or just sitting at home thinking, isn't there anything to do? Well, congratulations. You got home before everybody else because you cut lines. But you are now sitting at home in front of everybody else wondering what is there to do with all this extra time that I have. I know I probably sound like an old curmudgeon. I mean, I'm going to be 50 this year. So maybe I have the right to start sounding like an old curmudgeon, like an old parent, like an old grandpa. I am a grandpa. So maybe I'm giving myself permission right now to sound like a grandpa. Back in my day, it's always been like this. There's always been people that have cut lines, that have valued their time ahead of others, and it's always going to be like this. You know, I think back to something that Jesus said, that the last will be first and the first will be last. And I couldn't help but think of that when I watched this guy, jump the line and get in front of everybody else. And I thought, okay, congratulations, you're in front of everybody else. You're now first. You went from last to first. Wow. That's awesome. You get things done. You don't mess around with etiquette. You not afraid to own your space. You will step up and make things happen. But in being first, from going from last place to first place, in everybody's mind in that line, he was in last place because of his disregard of everybody else's time. I mean, what I'm saying is, what kind of life will you have lived in relationship to other people if that is your character? You might get to the line before everybody, but there's a greater sense in which nobody's going to want to interact with you. You're not playing well with others by not valuing other people's space, not valuing other people's time, not valuing other people's agendas. Other people are not going to value yours. And so, yeah, you got to the front of the line, but there's another sense in which you're at the back of everybody's line now. So much hurry in this world. The biblical definition of the word rest means not just that you can take a break. Oh, well, you need a rest. But the idea is that nothing else is needed. Nothing else is necessary. I have everything I need. I don't need anything else, so I can rest from my searching. I can rest from my longing. I can rest from my anxiety of not having something. Remember, I'm a 7, right? So the sin of the 7 is gluttony. And that idea or that concept of rest really speaks to me, like of not needing something else, of not needing to get to the front of the line, of not needing to be in a hurry, of not needing to put my agenda ahead of others, or other people need to see things the way I see it. The way I see it is smart, and the way they see it, that's dumb. Why would anybody believe what they believe? Why would anybody do what they do? Those people aren't smart. Those people aren't safe. Those people aren't good. Those people aren't kind. There's so much of that in the world. Striving, proving, arguing, my agenda versus your agenda. My needs ahead of your needs. And what's it all for? I mean, at the end of the day, what does everybody want? Everybody wants to be happy in life. Well, maybe that's the perspective of a 7. Is don't people want to be content? Don't people want to love and be loved, to be understood, to be cared for, to be a part of a loving family? To have people in your life that care for you and people that you can care for. When God created Adam and put him in the garden, he said it is not good for man to be alone. And so he created Eve and said, here you go. And still, I think in many ways, it's not good for us to be alone. Not that we don't need our alone time, and not that you can't be a fully happy individual living by yourself or living single. You can. But even being single, or living by yourself, you still need connections with other people. You still have connections with other people. And those connections are important. And those connections are needed and necessary. But what happens to my connections when my agenda for right now is paramount? When I've got to get to the front of the line, I've got places I've got to get to, I've got to prove my case. Those connections that are so important, that is what we really want, can be damaged with all of this hurry and all of this proving and all of this arguing and all of this striving and all of this fighting. I can think about my daughter, Grace, who's an 8. And I imagine that if I told her about the guy at the gas station cutting the line, her first response would be, "What did you say?" The implication from the 8 is you should have spoke up. You shouldn't take that garbage. You should say out loud, hey, you're in the back of the line. And if you didn't speak up, that's on you. You must want to be last because you didn't say anything. I could kind of hear her voice. I could hear Kaylee, my 9, I could hear her voice in my head. Like, it's no big deal, whatever. I mean, I feel sorry for him. I could hear my wife's voice, the 2, saying, goes to 8, 2s, they want to please people. They want to make people happy. They want to serve others. And man, that's the opposite of all of that. Serving your own needs first. Pushing your way to the front of the line. I could hear my daughter, who's a 6, being very upset with that kind of thing. It's so interesting. All the voices I hear in my head. I got to be careful who hears me say that, right? They're not voices in my head, okay? When I say voices in my head, I don't mean voices in my head. It's just when you go around that Enneagram dial and you think about how each type responds to life, how each type interacts with life, the natural, let's say, impulses and compulsions of each type. It's so interesting to me. I never grow weary of it. I never grow tired of it. And the Enneagram is really like a study on people. Trying to understand people, trying to understand ourselves, to see our own broken, fallen areas. Yeah, we do see the good. I mean, absolutely. But I think the Enneagram really shows us like our blind spots. And when they're blind spots, it means we don't necessarily see them. And it's like the Enneagram calls attention to these blind spots so that we can see these areas of our life where maybe we wouldn't pay attention to otherwise. And if we become aware of blind spots, then hopefully we can let our personality loosen its grip over us a little bit and no longer be in complete control of us. We can realize there are other options here. There are other ways to interact here that might be better in the long run, even though they're not my impulse. In that moment when I felt that one frustration and that 6, like, this is not how you treat people, and that 8 Medea voice in my head, even though I'm not a 9 and I have no connection to 9, I kind of responded in a 9 way, like, it's not my problem. And ordinarily, I would just kick this out of my mind. I wouldn't think about it anymore. I would let it go. Somebody does you wrong, a lot of people hold on to it. Well, why should I let them go? Why would you want to be connected to that? Why wouldn't you let it go for your own sake? I don't want someone's bad behavior that I don't even know. I don't know that guy. I don't want someone's bad behavior to ruin my day or to affect my day. And I can easily let other people's bad behavior affect my day. If I dwell on it, well, why would they say that to me after all I've done for them? What? I can't believe this. Shirley, do you know anything about this? Well, maybe I need to journal all of this. Why would I want someone's bad behavior or neglect or rejection or whatever to affect me in such a profound way? Normally I wouldn't. But I thought maybe it's worth talking about today, because I think a lot of us do. We let other people's bad behavior, let's just say it this way. Let's not say bad behavior. Let's say not self-aware behavior. Like, people are not aware how they're coming across to other people. They're not aware how other people are perceiving them, or they don't care. My agenda is so important, I don't care how other people are perceiving me. Or, rather than dwelling on it and letting it ruin my day, I could just as easily dismiss it and say, there's probably been times when I've been that guy. When I've cut in front of lines, certainly when I was a kid or a teenager. And there's probably been other times when I've done those things unaware. In conversations, I've butted in and talked over people. There's probably been a lot of times when that's been me, or I've been perceived the same way I was perceiving that gentleman, not in a positive way. And I could learn from that, and I could think, wow, I don't want to do that to other people, but I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to sit here and dwell on how I've been infringed upon. I'm going to let it go, because I don't want to think about it all day. I don't want to be irritated. I don't want to live an irritated life. I don't want to look down on others and say, well, the problem with people are they don't wait in lines. The problem with people are they in a hurry, and they won't care about anybody else but themselves. And that makes a great sermon. But I just don't want to live with that in my head. Now, I am today. I mean, I really am. I'm living with it right now because I'm talking about it on this video. But ordinarily, I don't want to give it any time. I don't want to think about it. I'm not in charge of the line. I'm not the line monitor. I'm not the security guy at the place directing people. It's not my classroom. I'm not the teacher. I'm not the principal of this school. So what will dwelling on this do for me? Nothing. But what will dwelling on it do to me? Probably nothing good. I'm just going to get irritated and frustrated. And a lot of people are irritated and frustrated. And I wonder how much of why we're irritated and frustrated is because what we're thinking about. As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And what I give opportunity in my mind to dwell on affects my attitude, my behavior, and how easy I am to live with. So, what's the lesson for today? One, don't cut in line. Okay, there's the obvious lesson. Just wait. You gotta wait anyway. Respect other people's time. Everybody else is queued up and trying to make it through life. It's not respectful of other people if I put my agenda or my needs or my wants or my demands ahead of other people's. I'll get to the front of the line, bite, growl, scratch, and I'll get to the front of the line. But I'll end up at the bottom of everybody's list. And who's going to want to be married to that? Who's going to want to be friends with that? So, don't cut in line. Respect other people's opinions. I know you're right. But we still need to respect each other's opinions and listen to each other and be gracious to one another and get along with each other and truly be tolerant with each other. Our culture talks a lot about tolerance, but it's in a very intolerant way. Like, you need to tolerate this, and if you don't, that's not tolerance. Tolerance is having 5 children. Okay, that's tolerance. When you got 5 kids and 2 bathrooms they have to learn to tolerate each other. They don't always like, interacting with each other, but they got to learn to tolerate and get along with each other. So certainly there's some lessons there. But to me, like, the big lesson is I can win in the short run by pushing and growling and snatching. I can win in the short run, but I'm not really winning in the long run. The life I really want is one of peacefulness, is one of joy, is one of healthy interactions with others, is one of community. And communities aren't built by every man for himself. Everybody put your own needs ahead of everybody else's. Okay, well, as always, be present to life. And present to life isn't always comfortable. Present to life could be quite painful at times. And sometimes you want to escape. Sometimes you want a shortcut. You want to get out of the line and push your way to the front. Just realize when you push your way out of this line, you're just ending up in another line somewhere else. All right. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.